endlessly searching for an original sin.
Let me get the next game ready. But, yeah, no, that one we might come back to when I finish some games up. That was actually pretty fun. Let me just get rid of some stuff. Okay, don't need that open. Don't need that. Need that. No. There it is. All right. Give me a moment. Sorry, I was just setting up. How long have we been going? Okay, we've been going for a good amount of time. We need to do sweep pool. There it is. Guys ready for the next fucked up part? So, did you guys enjoy that game? Because the chat's being quiet. Is the chat all just whacking off? Is that what's going on? See one person. No. You teased us. You get a headache? Is it because of the voice I was doing? Oh. Hold on. I'll go drink something. Welcome to where did we leave off? The amount of heart attack I just had. Did we make a choice? Yes, we did. What happened? Did you guys pick red or blue? We're having that issue again. Hold on. Yeah, it's doing that again. Okay. There we go. Morning classes ended with the ringing of the lunch bell. Dang it, bud. Yuji left the classroom and headed for the school store in the other old building. There he brought a carton of milk and then headed up the stairs to the roof. During lunch, the store was always choked with students, but the other floors were relatively empty. For this reason, Yuji found the old building to be a very peaceful place, especially the roof. He discovered this spot during his first year at school, when he wandered up there one day out of pure curiosity. He'd instantly fallen in love with the place, and to this day still went up there whenever he needed to be alone. Climbing the dusty old stairs, he arrived at the familiar rusty metal door, twisting the doorknob and pushed it open. The hinges creaked as a gust of wind rushed in. Pulling the door shut behind him, Yuji took a deep breath of fresh air. A warm breeze tickled his cheek. The safety fence enclosing the rooftop cast a striking pattern of shadowy lines across the dull gray concrete. The air smelled faintly of chlorine, likely from the pool beside the building. Peering through the fence, he could see the water sparkling in the sunlight. But just as he was about to take another step, Yuji suddenly realized that he wasn't alone. Another student was sitting with his back to the fence. Obviously, the roof wasn't Yuji's property. He wasn't surprised that someone else found it relaxing. He came here to be alone, and this defeated the purpose. Oh, caveman principal kicked through the door in this one too? I wish. He turned and was about to head back when something brought him up short. No, it couldn't be. He glanced again at the person by the fence, and sure enough, it was Tetsuo. He was eating a sandwich while gazing out at the schoolyard below. He didn't seem to have noticed Yuji's arrival. There was still time to make a break for it. But just as the thought crossed his mind, Tetsuo glanced in his direction. Yuji froze like a deer in the headlights of an onrushing car. Tetsuo stared at him for a moment, then turned away like he'd lost interest. Yuji was relieved to be out of his sights, but now he had no idea what to do. He couldn't just keep standing there. He knew he should just turn around and leave, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. Then he remembered the question he'd been wanting to ask. Alright guys, red or blue? Red or blue? While you guys choose, I'm going to try fixing this. Oh, I fixed it. We have 2 for blue, we have 1 for red. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blue. You guys keep going with logic. Stop that. No, asking Tetsuo was a terrible idea. You could have gotten a question out of this. As much as you wanted to know about the blood, he didn't want to interact with Tetsuo any more than necessary. Tetsuo probably... I hate this game. Not after what he must have witnessed in the chemistry lab. The memory was still hard to bear. Speaking of hard, it'd be crazy to expect Tetsuo to be fine with it. Although, if Tetsuo was disgusted with him, then why did he approach Yuji yesterday? It made no sense, but there was no point speculating. Only Tetsuo knew the answer. And if Yuji wanted to know, his only option was to ask. After a long internal debate, Yuji made up his mind and stepped forward. Immediately, he was struck by the impulse to turn back. Nevertheless, he forced his feet onward toward the fence where Tetsuo was sitting. Yuji stopped in a short distance away and paused to gauge Tetsuo's reaction, but he didn't even turn back. Surely he must have sensed Yuji's approach. After standing there for a few seconds, he started to feel like a neglected child. What else was he to do? Yuji sat down on the spot. Immediately, he became hyper-aware of Tetsuo's proximity. This made him so anxious, he thought his whole body might start sweating. He tried to act natural, but he felt so stiff and awkward. Sorry about that. Meanwhile, Tetsuo was eating his sandwich while watching the scenery. Tetsuo eats food? For some reason, this struck Yuji as peculiar. Heaven forbid someone eat food. It shouldn't have. Tetsuo was human after all. But it was easy to forge that he wasn't carved from ice. A gentle breeze blew in from behind them, rustling Tetsuo's sandy brown hair. He squinted faintly against the sunlight. Beyond the fence, some students were playing baseball in the field. Yuji could hear the crack of the bat, followed by cheers. Thinking about it, he realized that this was the first time he'd ever looked at Tetsuo. Until now, he'd done everything in his power to avoid that. An unfeeling machine, a robot, that had always been Yuji's impression of the man. But here, the sunlight dulled his sharp gaze, and his pale eyelashes fluttered every time he blinked. He was like a completely different person. To think that all it took was a slight change in perspective to see him in an entirely new light. As Yuji stared, captivated, that familiar pleasant scent tickled his nose. He always smelled it when Tetsuo was around. Was it his cologne or something? Then suddenly, Tetsuo looked at him. What? Yuji's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly looked away.
お前さ、
At the sound of Tetsuo's voice, Yuji's entire body went rigid.
それだけ。
Tetsuo gestured brusquely with his chin, and Yuji realized he must have been talking about his milk. Yuji dropped his eyes to his drink.
それだけかよ。
What was he supposed to say to that? His mind had gone blank, so instead, he said the first thing he could think of.
見たのか。何が。昨日、腕を掴んだ時に。
Before he knew it, he cut straight to the chase. It felt like part of him was simply eager to get it over with. He needed to finish the question. After a deep breath, Yuji continued.
血、ついただろ。手に。ああ。
For a moment, he thought that Tetsuo would ignore him again, but it seemed that this time was an exception. As Yuji lifted his head in surprise, Tetsuo looked away.
具合悪いんだろ、お前。
So he had seen the blood. That meant it was real, didn't it? As Yuji struggled to process this, Tetsuo looked at him again.
無理しない方がいいと思うけど。
What was that supposed to mean? Yuji furrowed his brow. How could Tetsuo be so calm about it? It was just so deflating. Even if Tetsuo was a special case, it felt like he was getting off too easy somehow.
それ。
Tetsuo pointed at Yuji's drink with one finger. Confused, Yuji looked at the carton, then back at Tetsuo.
昼、それだけ。少ねえな。
It seemed that Tetsuo was more interested in Yuji's eating habits than in his bleeding spell yesterday. For some reason, Yuji found this extremely annoying.
そんなことより、もっと他に。
Yuji fell silent in the middle of his question. What did he even want from Tetsuo anyway? He grabbed his milk carton and got to his feet, then headed for the door. His thoughts were a jumble. He'd summoned all his courage to ask, and all he had to show for it was more questions. Yuji left the roof without another word. Once afternoon assembly had ended, Yuji packed up his book bag and left the classroom. He'd been in a bad mood ever since lunchtime, and he wanted to get home so he could finally be alone. He walked briskly down the hall to the shoe lockers, but just as he was changing into his outdoor shoes, he sensed a presence directly behind him. Sorry, my throat's starting to give. Where's my water? Yep. Sorry for the noise. We'll do a few more scenes because my throat's starting to give. Like I said, I haven't been feeling good. I have a drink, but my throat's really hurting. I think I'm getting sick. Plenty of other students were changing their shoes nearby, but this person was inexplicably standing directly behind him. He caught the barest whiff of alcohol and heard a sharp clacking sound. I have to go get some medicine anyway, so I'm probably going to, but we'll finish this scene out. It was because they close at 5 and it's already 3:50. It was all too familiar. Actually, yeah, this might be a good spot to end it. I am really sorry about this. I am going to come back on Tuesday so that we can continue this. But I probably should give my voice a break. I am really sorry for the short stream. I will see you guys in the Discord, and anyone that snuck in here that doesn't have the Discord, here you go. I'm going to go get my medicine. Thank you. And I will talk to you guys on the Discord. Love you all. Bye, guys. And once again, thank you so much for all your support. It means a lot. And don't forget to vote. Tuesday is the ending of the vote for which is the new VTuber. So get it done. Vote, vote, vote. Bye, guys.